All right, guys, I've been cooking for over 15 years, and one of the first recipes I feel like I perfected was ribs. I've done them on the grill, I've done them in the smoker, I've done them in the oven, hell, I've even done them in the air fryer. But today's recipe, I think, might be better than all of those other ones. Meet me in the kitchen, let's make it happen.
All right. I want to take these home and get into bed with them. Go to sleep.
So first things first, we need to go ahead and prep our ribs. Here we have some extra meaty, beautiful baby back ribs, with the exception of this little piece here that they butchered, literally. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that. You can save that in your trimmings bag, break it down into some ground pork or whatever you wanna do, or just throw it away if you're rich. We're gonna go ahead and trim this up. Now, you guys know, if you've been following my channel, that I've made a ton of different rib recipes. I would even go on record as to say, I think I make better ribs than everybody. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there that make better ribs than me, but I haven't met them yet. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the membrane here. The best way to do that is with a paper towel for grip, and you just pull it right off like so. Then we're gonna take a nice sharp knife and cut these into individual rib bones. So I noticed that people were making this recipe online quite often. They were calling it party ribs, kind of playing off traditional party wings. So almost like an appetizer. If you go to a Japanese restaurant, a lot of times you'll get them individually served too. So it's kind of like a hybrid version of that. That's what got me thinking about this Asian sticky style sauce. Kind of like if you ever had sticky wings, we're doing sticky ribs today. So nice sharp knife, cut them into individual rib bones. And then we're going to season them up. We're doing these in the oven today for my folks that don't have a smoker, but the same recipe works great on the grill or the smoker. Beautiful ribs right there. Great marbling, good fat. When you buy baby back ribs, you want to make sure that they're meaty. Like a lot of times you'll spend a lot of money and it's all fat, or it's thin on one side and thick on the other. Look for some consistency. Don't be embarrassed to dig through the little pile there at the grocery store until you find the right ones. A lot of times the butcher will put the newer stuff on the bottom and the older stuff on top to try to get rid of it first. So dig through there a little bit till you find the right rack. All right, guys, so today, again, we're making Asian style sticky ribs. This sauce and the rub really brings this together. We got some brown sugar in here, about a 1/4 cup. We're gonna add about a teaspoon of fresh ginger powder. You can use fresh ginger if you want. I guess I shouldn't say fresh ginger powder because this isn't necessarily fresh, but it's kind of new, so I guess that makes it a little fresh, right? Teaspoon of ginger. Gonna pair nicely with the rub that we're gonna make. We're also gonna go in with a tablespoon of all-purpose seasoning. If you don't have my AP, you can grab it via the website, or just use a combination of salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder, things of that nature. We're also going in with a tablespoon of smoked paprika. Gonna give us a little bit of smokiness on the flavor profile since we're doing this in the oven and not the grill. I'm also gonna add some chicken bouillon powder. Has some MSG in it. It's gonna add a lot of flavor. Great flavor enhancer. And then last but not least, I'm adding my hot AP. If you don't have this, you can use some cayenne pepper, red pepper flakes. This actually has some jalapeno powder, which is really nice. It's gonna play nicely with the kind of sweet sauce that we're using. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a mix. Make sure the brown sugar is well combined, everything's evenly distributed. Then we're gonna coat those ribs in some olive oil and make sure they're rubbed up nicely. All right, guys, so it's really important to add quite a bit of olive oil, probably about a 1/4 cup. You want the ribs to be nice and lubricated, and the olive oil is also going to help the rub stick to the ribs nicely, and that's what we want. We want them to be nice and coated in that delicious rub that we made. Make sure you get all sides, no bald spots. This is going to be good, guys, I promise. If you know anything about me, you've been watching this channel, I'm not lying when I say ribs are one of the first things that I feel like I perfected. I feel very confident in my rib recipes, no matter which way that I cook them. It's definitely something that I'm very familiar with. I've been making for a very long time. I'd even go as far as to say I don't know many people that make better ribs than me. because it's also one of the things that I try on each menu, or if they're at a party, I'm always trying them just to kind of, you know, compare them to mine, and because I just like to eat them. So if you need a rib recipe, this is the channel for you. If you want to switch it up, this is the recipe for you. Now, in the barbecue world, on the competition circuit, that's where a lot of these great rib recipes were developed. You know, a lot of OGs in the game that have been making ribs forever in the competition space are who we're basically getting all of our recipes from. And they've been doing it for a very long time. So there's a tried and true method called the 3-2-1 method, which basically means 3 hours unwrapped, 2 hours wrapped in foil, and then 1 more hour with the sauce to kind of set the glaze. We're doing a hybrid version of that today for the oven, because I like the oven heat to be a little bit hotter than if I were using the grill. So today we're using 300 degrees on the oven. We're going 2.5 hours unwrapped, and then we're going to wrap them in foil with some liquid to kind of steam them. That's what gets the ribs nice and tender. So if you want the fall off the bone ribs, you need a little bit longer in the foil. So we're going to go 2.5 hours unwrapped, about 1.5 hours wrapped in foil, and we'll check for, you know, tenderness at that point. But this is how we're looking going into the oven at 300 degrees. All right, people, now it's time to make the sauce. One of my new favorite sauces. I'm not quite sure if this fits the traditional sticky Asian barbecue sauce requirements, but it's damn delicious. We're starting with 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/4 cup of brown sugar. As always, the specific measurements will be listed for you down below and on my blog, MrMakeItHappen.com, for all of your principal recipes. But I will continue to put the shopping list down in the comments below, or the description box below, so you guys don't start complaining at me in the comment section. So I got you covered there. 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of butter. We're also going in with 1/4 cup of low sodium soy sauce. We're going to eyeball this. Usually about half of this is 1/4 cup. So that's what we're going with. I like to use the low sodium here because it just works better, and a lot of these other ingredients have quite a bit of sodium in them, like the oyster sauce and the hoisin and all that good stuff. So just to kind of balance it out a little bit, go with the low sodium soy sauce. Tablespoon of ginger going in. You can use fresh ginger. I like the ginger paste. Hoisin sauce, delicious, very sweet. Again, got quite a bit of sodium in it too. So we're going to go in with a few tablespoons of that. Tablespoon or so of gochujang or gochujang. Let me know if I'm saying it wrong in the comments. Plastic spoons, guys. That's one of your friends in the kitchen. You use them for tasting. You use them for things like we're doing today with the sauce. A little less dishes you got to do. Going in with a 1/2 teaspoon or so of sesame oil. This stuff packs a punch. A little bit goes a long way. So don't get too crazy with that. Then a tablespoon of oyster sauce, which doesn't taste like oysters, so don't be freaked out. But if you have a shellfish allergy, you may want to avoid this. I know some people say that they can eat it. Some people can't. So if you have the shellfish allergy, you'll probably know better than me. Depending on how severe it is, you may want to skip that one. Just go a little heavier on the hoisin. All right, so we're gonna give that a mix. Let that simmer for a few minutes. It'll reduce and get nice and thick. And then we're gonna taste and adjust. Next up, it's time to get these bad boys extra tender. They're already looking pretty tender. You want to pull them and get them wrapped at about 185 to 190 degrees internal temperature. This is going to help them get extra tender once we wrap them in this foil. So we're going to get them on in this foil pan to save ourselves some dishes. You can kind of stack them up a little bit. It's not going to hurt. We're going to add a little bit of the sauce. Make sure they're well coated. And get them back in the oven for about another 30 to 60 minutes, or until they're fork tender, or at about 205 degrees internal temperature is the point they should start really kind of like falling off the bone almost. Make sure you save yourself some of this for the very end to do your final garnish. You can throw a little apple juice in here if you want to, or some sort of liquid to just help it steam a bit. The sauce is going to continue to caramelize as well. There we go. Let's give them a little toss, make sure they're all getting a little love. All right, guys, so the ribs are beautiful. and they're tender. So what you want to do is use a toothpick or probe meat thermometer. Once you see it going in and out with little to no resistance, that indicates that they're perfectly tender. You could also use a fork, but I don't want to mess up, you know, aesthetically. These are looking really good, so I don't want to mess that up. What we're also going to do is, you guys know I always say no flavor left behind. We got these pan drippings that I'm going to add to a little bit of the reserve barbecue sauce. So I had barbecue sauce. We set it off to the side. We're going to use that for the final plate. But before these go back in the oven, we're going pan drippings with the remainder of the barbecue sauce that's not going to be used for garnish. Give that a mix. And then we're going to top these bad boys with that mixture back into the oven on broil for about 3 to 5 minutes to caramelize even more. Because we're not using a grill today, we got to pull out all the tricks in the oven. And this is how you get ribs almost as good as they would be if they were on the smoker or the oven. You got to pull out some stops, and that's what we're doing. So that sugar is going to caramelize just like it would if it was over charcoal or on the smoker. You're missing a little bit of that flavor, but I promise you these will be so good you won't even care that much. If you don't own a smoker or a grill, I mean, there's really no better way to do this. So don't be shy with this stuff. We're going to brush it on thick. Don't miss any spots. And then under the broiler, don't turn your back on these though, because they'll burn if you leave them under the broiler for too long. So we'll keep an eye on them.